see you this evening. Do we have a method set up for this?
Do you just want to, if you want to say a few words, or we can just jump right in?
Absolutely. We're going to do Q&A. Well, first of all, let me tell you that I am extremely honored to be invited to be the candidate for president of the University of Arizona. It's, for me and my husband Randy, a real homecoming. We wanted to live in the West, but I wanted to be able to continue to have the great experience of leading a great research university. I feel in some ways, as Regent Meyer has said, that my experience throughout higher education has in fact almost hand-fed me the skills and orientation that I believe the University of Arizona needs right now. From work as a professor up through the ranks, understanding the academic gauntlet that one goes through to be a full professor, to graduate dean at the University of Utah, to provost and vice president for academic affairs at Claremont Graduate University, to president of the Land Grant, Space Grant, Sea Grant University of the University of New Hampshire, and then to a wonderful experience in a great but stressed city at Temple University on North Broad Street in Philadelphia. Each of those places has added a new skill and a new love, and the opportunity to bring that constellation of skills and knowledge back to the West I love so much is a tremendous honor for me. So I'm happy to be here with you this evening.
Q&A?
Hi, my name is JD. I'm from Channel 13
Yes,
here in
JD.
Tucson, and I think one of the main things that we face across the country, and you faced at Temple, was about an 18% cut in state funding from Pennsylvania. How does that...
Actually, it was 24% last year because of the current decision, with an additional 25% proposed for this coming year.
So how does that compare to the financial challenges we're facing here? Do you face a bigger one here? Do you think that it was actually a bigger challenge back there at Temple?
No, I think the challenges that we face financially in higher education are complex, and that reductions in our appropriations from our state legislatures are part of that complexity. At the same time, they also face entitlements that they can't cut. We face Medicare and Medicaid payment structures that are a huge problem for our states to match. And our students are facing increased costs in housing and food, and it's a very, very complex issue. So I wouldn't say that Pennsylvania was worse or better than Arizona, only that as universities, we are going to have to be better at finding more sources of revenue from all kinds of different places, from finding new ways of doing business so that we cut the cost of overhead, so that it costs us less to do our business well. And I know that that isn't higher ed talk, but that's what we're going to have to do. And that we find multiple solutions through our delivery of the educational experience, to how we manage the cost of doing business, to our advocacy for higher education. And in that sense, it's probably a battle across the country.
Fernanda Chowdhury with Arizona Public Media. You had an announcement in September of last year that you would be stepping down as president of Temple University. Was that because you were ready to retire, or were you always planning on taking on the presidency somewhere else?
I was always planning on taking on some new, exciting challenge in higher education and moving west, not somewhere else. The first headhunter who called me actually tried to convince me for it to become a candidate for a job in Manhattan. And my dear husband, Randy, said, "What part of West don't you understand?" Our goal was to return home and to seek new and exciting opportunities. When the Board of Regents contacted me and I had a chance to talk with search committee members and regents, I was so impressed with the commitment of this group of Arizona leaders to this great university, and so intrigued by the possibilities of actually having a chance to be a partner in forming the next generation of committed University of Arizona faculty, staff, and students. The more I talked with them and heard their commitment and their enthusiasm, the more I wanted to know. And knowing that this is where I wanted to be, it was unbelievably serendipitous for me.
Caroline?
Carolyn Milano, Arizona Daily Star. Just a little bit further to that, I saw an interview that the Salt Lake Tribune did that said you were moving back to Utah. And I guess, and I've heard, you know, there's comments on Facebook and stuff that have said, I want to know that she's coming here because she really wants us, not just that the geography is convenient. So how is your mom? And is that, you know, are you still, is that still, does that reasoning still hold?
Well, to answer your first question, much better, thank you.
Your mom is better?
Much better,
Oh,
thank
good.
you. And secondly, geographically convenient is very different than geographically compelling. This is the part of the United States where the future will be forged. I loved my time in New England and the Atlantic states. But as you look at the future of the young future of the United States and the future of higher education, it's reform and change. This is where we're going to make those changes and have the biggest impact. So for me, it's like coming home, not convenient, but challenging and compelling.
Thank you.
Patrick McNamara, Inside Tucson Business. This university has made some changes and adaptations recently regarding tech transfer, and I'm curious what you think the role of tech transfer would be and what you can do to move that along.
I believe that tech transfer is all forms of translation, not just tech transfer in the sort of techie sense, but all translation of knowledge to application and the improvement of the human condition is critical to moving universities forward to the application of the great new knowledge that we create here. It is my hope to be deeply involved in translating knowledge into applications, very broadly writ, and I hope that I will be able to have a role in improving that performance and that achievement at the University of Arizona.
Question over here.
Dylan Smith, TucsonSentinel.com. Just to follow up a little bit on the move question, were you a candidate at Utah or any other school?
I did look at Utah, and I was recruited by many other schools. This is the place I want to be.
We hear a lot about the 2020 program, is that
Yes.
correct? And obviously, I think there's a lot, even students were excited about the idea of having more interaction with the community. Compared to the situation at Temple with its surrounding neighborhoods, do you see a similarity here? Do you see a divide here between the university and the community that needs to be bridged? Any ideas off the top of your head about how you might go about that?
Well, certainly I would need to know a lot more than I do now about what a program here at the University of Arizona might be. The neighborhood around Temple, as you probably know, is very, very stressed and has been for many, many years. The neighborhoods around Arizona are more diverse, different in many ways, economically and otherwise. So a program that integrates the University of Arizona more directly with its community would be needed to be tailored to our situation here in Tucson. And I would love to be a part of that conversation and hope that we could be so.
Time for just 3 more.
Hi, Greg Rando with Channel 4. Coming from Philadelphia, there were so many different universities, whereas here at the U of A, you would be definitely in the spotlight. How do you think you would handle that transition with so much more attention here in Tucson?
Have you read the Philadelphia Inquirer lately?
No.
There is no such thing as no attention in Philadelphia. And remember that I was the president of the University of New Hampshire, where I believe in one of the smallest states in the nation, there are, I believe, 12 daily newspapers. And the University of New Hampshire is sort of the center of what's happening. So I think that I've had plenty of experience with the press. I appreciate the attention that a great university gets. Wouldn't it be sad if you didn't care about a wonderful university in your midst? And so I anticipate a good relationship and look forward to working together.
All right, I'm going to hog the mic and ask one more question. You have 4 daughters. I'm assuming they probably all went to university, right?
They did.
And
Forever.
8 grandkids. How has all of that informed you, you know, how you deal with career-wise? What has that brought you in terms of wisdom or whatever you want to say?
Persistence, perseverance, I think is a key, and any family that has balanced going to school, going to work, think what I have experienced is that change is a good thing if you're all a part of the team. And whether you're a grandchild, a child, a daughter, a granddaughter, a mother, you're a part of a team. And when we go to graduation every year, and you look out at that audience and you see the members of that audience with tears in their eyes when their students' name is read, you know that that was a team effort, and that one person didn't get there by themselves.
What was your biggest struggle at Temple University, and what do you think, knowing what you know about the U of A, will be your biggest struggle coming here?
They're the same. It's academic medicine. I think there are a lot of issues that we face as universities and higher education institutions, but in the current turmoil of the practice of medicine and medical education, graduate medical education, compensation and payer mix, the way in which we compensate Medicaid and Medicare, the future of the medical home models, and all of the models that we're working on to try and help fewer people be admitted to hospitals while focusing on their health care, while compensating hospitals only when patients are admitted, is a perfect storm. And it's one that we're going to have to confront across the United States.
And then last question?
We'd be remiss without asking something about sports, since you actually, took an interest in Temple, and you seem to be credited with actually hiring the right people for football and basketball. But, where do you see your support coming in here at the U of A with, we have Sean Miller with U of A basketball. Do you see improvements we're going to be making in basketball or football or some other place?
Well, I think that the role of the president is to look for the right people and support them and help them do their job and provide them, this is a social event that we all use to bond. And so as a president, I thoroughly enjoy that and intend to continue to be a big part of that. Presidents also help raise money. And athletics, to have a bright future, needs to be able to tap philanthropy. We don't bring in enough from ticket sales on the revenue sports to keep a full athletics menu going in a great university like Arizona. So I intend to be very actively involved in all of those things. I've never accepted the invitation to be the guest coach. I think the president should probably stay out of that business and stay in the business of cheerleading and fundraising.
Thank you all for coming.
Thanks, everybody.